Thank you so much for joining us for the Q&A for Huda'S Salon. We are fortunate to have the writer, producer, and director of the film, Hany Abu-Assad, joining us from Spain today. So welcome, Hany. Thank you so much for bringing us your amazing film, and thank you for giving us some time to talk. We love your movie, so thank you.
Well, thank you for inviting me. I am very excited to answer your questions.
Well, hopefully we can shed some light on some of the questions that I think our audience might have. Let's start with, you have an interesting story behind kind of why you decided to make this film. Do you mind sharing it with the audience?
Yes, this story happened 30 years ago. I read it in some newspapers that one of the salons was dismantled. One of the victims of the salon committed suicide and left a message. And this is how the salon was dismantled. And this story stayed in my mind. And 30 years later, one day, my wife asked me, like, do you have stories about women in Palestine? She wants to write, she's also a writer. And I told her the story of the salon. And then she said, but what's the story? This is just an event. And in the night, probably I dreamt the story because all the characters are fiction. So next day, I woke up early and I start to write the story, let's say the fictional character, and I came up with this structure, let's say. So the events are real, but the characters are very fictional.
Yeah, and what's great about it is you have kind of both Huda and Reem kind of being different sides of the coin almost, like Huda is what Reem might become if things moved forward. And I think that that's really powerful to be able to see both kind of where Huda might have come from and where she is now. Was the structure kind of intentional in that way? Like, how did you choose what the two main characters were going to be like?
Yes. The first question I asked myself, okay, you want to tell a journey of a woman from being threatened to becoming a traitor, yes? It's a journey. So I felt like, and it doesn't happen in one day, it would, maybe 2-3 months till she totally agree. And I want to make it in one day without going as a flashback. So the only solution was to make a parallel structure between a woman who already reached the end and a woman in the beginning. And both stories function as the one is a flash forward to the other, and the other is the flash back to the other story without let's say, disturbing the time. So you are staying in one day. So you are going actually as a flashback with a linear time structure. And why? Because I felt I want a ticking bomb. This is how it started. So why 24 hours? Because I feel like it's a ticking bomb. It's like, what's going to happen in this structure of 24 hours. So, and this is how I came with the story of two women, where the one is at the end of the spectrum, the other at the beginning, and how they meet and work as a parallel story.
Yeah. So speaking of the women, I was reading in your director's statement, you say, I believe that we should be equal with values of women and not the values of narcissistic men. I really love that statement. In a film with a lot of conflict, a lot of the focus is on about the agency of women and kind of their options within a patriarchal society. And I'm curious, what made you want to focus on issues of gender, and how do you think this conversation of gender affects, a possible future without occupation?
Yes. So again, when you start to think about your character, you realize it won't happen to a free woman, because a free woman will, or let's say a woman coming from a free social class. So if it would happen to my sister, for example, she will come and tell the story home, and we will be protecting the woman. There is part of our society that will blame the victim and punish the victim, because they need, like, if there is a mistake or a crime, they need to keep their authority alive. So they don't have authority against against the occupation, but they have authority against the woman. So they are punishing the woman. So this is why I felt like I need to tell the story from the perspective of this woman, and not from the perspective of, let's say, narcissistic men, where they want equality for the woman to become like them. And this is how all started. Like, I really want to capture the story from their point of view and not from my point of view.
Yeah.
Although as a man, this is, then the question is how can you put yourself in the shoes of oppressed woman? So it doesn't mean like I am, as a Palestinian, also as a man, feel oppressed. So I know what does it mean if you feel powerless, if the power will punish you for being innocent. Yes, so I know this feeling. And as a director, you don't always make a story about yourself. When you make a story about, let's say, when I did Paradise Now, I did a story about suicide bombers. It doesn't mean like I am a suicide bomber. So you put yourselves in the shoes of a suicide bomber. In this case, I put myself in the shoes of a mother, vulnerable mothers that been sexually exploited, in a place where she could lose her life because she was captured as a naked woman. So, and in this case, I felt like I should be more, again, make the movie from their own norms, not from my own norm.
So have you been able to show this film to some women in Palestine to kind of get their feedback on it? Like, what has the reaction been?
Very, very, like, amazingly, the most woman who could understand that is Palestinian woman,
right,
coming from that society, like and they are saying we are oppressed from the patriarch structure of our society, but also we are oppressed from the occupier. So we are double occupied. It's like, so, and they were very moved. I think it's already, for me, I get what I want. And this is women in that situation, if they see the movie, first of all, feel the story, and second, they feel they need to do something about it. And also, I think we should not dehumanize the, let's say, the part of society that will punish women for being innocent. Yes. So yes, we want to show this movie, and we are planning to show this movie to our own community in order to open questions and to make them realize that you should be angry on the occupation, not on the woman that been misused from the Secret Service.
Yeah, I mean, that's how you start change, right?
We hope, at least if it's a small change.
A little bit, yeah. You're changing mindsets.
Yeah. I'm not a big dreamer. I know we have limited influence on what's going on as artists and as filmmakers, but at least we do our responsibility, and this is important.
Yeah, I mean, so one of the reasons that the movie is so successful, or one of the main reasons the movie is so successful, is because you have incredible actresses and actors. I'm kind of curious, what was the impact of the pandemic on the production? I believe you had to stop in the middle of production because of the situation. And was it hard for the team, actors included, to kind of reconvene and get back into the mindset to complete the film?
Yeah, I felt this was my biggest challenge in my life as a filmmaker, living under terror of being under the terror of the corona, I call it. like, can you imagine if somebody will be sick and because of your movie? It's horrible. So we all felt we've been threatened. So probably this had a good side. So this is why Maysa Abdelhadi, the main actress, said, I did not played frightened. I was frightened because she was very frightened that whole period. First, frightened that the movie won't be completed because she really loved the story and she wants to see it completed. I'm frightened that if she or somebody else will be sick. Like in the middle of the shoot, we had to stop twice and for a long period, 6 months, and to come back. But also during the shoot, she had a kind of fever. Thanks God it wasn't COVID, but we lived 24 hours under the terror of, oh my God, if she is sick, how this will affect our film. It was horror actually. We still live in a horror show without realizing. It's really, if I'm traveling now, I start to travel, lately, and it's also horror. You are so, the airports, the airplanes. Whenever you come, wherever you go, it's. I hope really very soon we can find something to fix this as a human.
Yeah, it's terrifying. I think we all have spent the last, year and a half, 2 years kind of living with these big question marks over our head of what we can do and what we can't do. So I guess my next question is from the beginning of the film, right, you've got the idea that there's really no way out for either Huda or Reem. When you're writing the film, did you already know their fates, or did kind of that come around later on?
I have to be honest, I played with the ending. The first ending I wrote that Reem could escape, let's say, her fate. So, but it felt kind of, later when I start to read again and again, felt it was, let's say, it gave a false hope. You don't want to create the idea that there is a possibility to escape this situation. I think in any case, any woman will fall into that trap, will come very, very harmed from that situation. So I felt it's not an honest ending if they are going to escape their fate, because it's not real. Let's say it's not. So I went back and I rewrote the ending in a way that it can be emotionally satisfying, because Reem realized that her picture is being, burned, but doesn't mean that her story ends there. So, and this was for me the best ending, where you can be emotionally satisfied because you want the picture to be finished, but on the other side you want to keep the question alive that women in that situation, they are not going to escape this trap.
Yeah, it's really powerful the way it ends. And I think like our team we were all discussing kind of where we thought like what the next scene would be if there was a next scene, and everybody kind of had a little bit of a different perspective. And I think that's a magical way to end things. So well done.
What was like, I filmed the ending and I had a different, it's so funny. I'm going to tell the audience this.
Okay. So
actually the last scene was, and I cut it out, that you cut and you see actually Reem working at the salon. She opened her own salon. And then, they start talking, almost the same chat. And you feel, oh my God, she became Huda. Yes. So, but then at the end of it, when the woman asked for coffee, she said, no, don't. ever drink coffee outside of your home. And this is like, but again, it felt after this seriousness, it felt not right somehow, the scene that with a joke, almost with a joke. So we cut it out.
Yeah. That's an interesting kind of like full circle kind of ending. I like the idea of it, but I think you're right. I think you made the right choice.
Yeah. No, the idea of it on paper was great. You
Yeah.
know, like, oh, she's in the salon, she became Huda, but she doesn't fall into the trap of becoming a traitor. But it's very like, you know, it's very romantic ending. And I really want to leave the audience with a heavy question about the faith of those women.
So this just popped into my head, but this kind of raises questions of, you know, where you feel there's hope. You know, I think some of the other interviews I've seen of you for previous films, you seem pretty hopeful. This film definitely has like kind of, you know, like, is there hope? Do you feel that this movie leaves people with any sense of that, or is it just kind of the reality of things?
And this is very interesting. Yes, there is hope, but sometimes you need to like take, for example, the environmental question. Yes, so it's a very dark scenario, but still we are hopeful. So if you make a movie that the end of that movie telling, okay, everything will be all right and we will solve the environmental issues, you won't be worried and you won't work on the solution. And I believe that this is what I did. If I give a false hope, this will become it will work against what I want. Yes, there is hope, but we need to work and we need to do an action and not to go back home and say, okay, everything will going to be all right. So yes, I'm warning that we need to take an action, but there is always hope.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. It actually leads me to my next question. And you've said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that you use anger to make art with meaning. Can you elaborate on that? What do you mean by that?
So all artists in the world, they use their, let's say, all their frustration, sad feeling. The best art that was made the fuel of that art was something actually ugly. You know, sadness, loss, anger. But you fuel it. This is the energy that you take and you change it to beauty. At the end, when you make music is a beauty. Yes, a painting, it's a beauty. A building that you build, a film, it's a beauty. So artists are able to take that fuel, ugly, and to change it to good energy. Exactly like the motor in the car. You know, the fuel is very poison, but it becomes energetic to make us move forward. Yes. So yes, it's the artist is a kind of engine that can change the energy from a bad energy to a good one, to an energy that can move you, that can drive you to take an action. And this is what I think the best definition for an artist. But anyhow, everybody will have their own definition of an artist.
Yeah, that's a beautiful metaphor. I love that with the gasoline. I'm going to use that. So I guess my final question for you, and maybe this is unfair to end with, but like you're talking about some really heavy subject matter here. Do you feel that it's your responsibility to represent the occupation for a wide audience, or like where's the balance between educating your audience and just telling a story?
No, first of all, what is my responsibility? Fighting injustice. Yes, occupation is an unjust act, and discrimination is an unjust act. Apartheid is an unjust act. So, as a human being, what is your responsibility? So I'm not, let's say, I did not choose to become a conformist. I choose to become an artist. And this is my responsibility. Through my art, I'm spreading awareness and open questions to the both sides, to the side of the oppressor, hopefully to let him feel like what he's doing is wrong, and the side of the oppressed to let them feel that they need to do something about. So hopefully I am contributing in the fight of injustice in a let's say in an artistic way.
Yeah.
I don't know if this is influential, but at least I do my responsibility.
Well, I think, you know, for me, it definitely is, it shows a great influence on the conversation. So I'm really glad that you were able to make this film despite all the hurdles that you had, and you were able to get such amazing performances from your actors. So thank you so much. I wish we had more time to talk, but unfortunately, that's what we've been given today. We'd love to hear from the rest of our audience using the social media hashtag AFIFest. And we hope you join us for more screenings, both in person and virtually at AFI. And if you'd like to know anything more about what we're doing, what's going on, fest.afi.com is the place to go. Thank you so much again, Hany. We hope to get to see you in person next time. Thank you.
And thank you, thank the festival, and thank the audience, especially the audience that they have the courage to come and watch a movie in a theater. This will, like, it's really brave, I have to say, and I'm happy that there still audience are brave enough to challenge, you know, our situation in a way, in a safe way, that we can continue our life in a good manner. And thank you all.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a great point to end on. So thank you to our audience for your bravery. So thanks, everybody.
Bye-bye.